everybody, John from Retired Rider. Hope everybody's doing well today. First off, let me say thank you to all the people who have commented, subscribed, and has watched our videos. I really appreciate it. I believe we're up to 968 subscribers, so we're just getting ready to hit that milestone of 1,000 subscribers. So I just want to say thank you to everybody and let you know how much I appreciate you guys and how much I appreciate the comments. Keep them coming. I really like going back and forth or just hearing what you guys have to say. It makes my day. It really does. And I appreciate every one of you guys, like I said. Today I got a little topic I want to talk about. It addresses riding your motorcycle when you're tired or not feeling good, or you just got over being sick, or whatever the case may be. If you've been riding for any length of time, it doesn't matter how long you've been riding, how many years you've been riding. If you've been riding for any length of time, you understand that it takes a lot out of you to ride a motorcycle. I know people that do not ride motorcycles do not understand this, but it does. I mean, there's times that I'll be out, 5, 6, 7 hours riding, and when I'm on my way back, I am beat. I am totally beat. I'm sore. My back is sore. Of course, my butt's sore. It doesn't matter what seat you have on there. After that many hours of riding, you're going to be sore. My hands will be sore. Of course, I fight a situation that probably a lot of you fight and some of you don't, is that I have degenerative joint disease, and it makes it rough on me no matter what I'm doing anyway. So if I'm out for 7 hours, I'm pretty tired. I know one year we took a ride with a group of people. It was Labor Day, and we went out riding, and we were out riding all day. I mean, of course, we stopped and took a break and rested and things of that nature, but we were just on the bikes, and it was several hours. And I know on the trip home, and we called it a day, and we were all heading home, I was so wiped out. I was so tired that it was just in my mind. I love riding motorcycles. It's hard to get me off of one, but I was so tired that I just almost felt like going to sleep on the motorcycle, and that's hard to do. So I mean, and I didn't pull over. I thought, the closer we got to home, we're not that far. What I should have done is I should have pulled over. But I made it home okay. But I ain't gonna lie to you, I was a little nervous there for a little while. I thought, man, I really should pull this bike over, and I didn't, and I should have. But fortunately, nothing happened, and we didn't have an accident or anything like that. But I could tell that my riding ability was getting less and less and less. And when I would stop at a light and put my feet down, I would notice that, I wasn't holding the bike up, wasn't balancing myself as good as I should be. So that's a sign that it's time to get off the bike. And I should have, like I said, I went on home anyway, because we all have that, even if we're feeling tired or not feeling good or whatever the case may be, we all have that, well, we can make it. It's not that far. We can make it home, put the bike away, and go rest. Don't take that chance. It's not worth it. I won't do it anymore. If I'm tired, I'm going to stop. Get off the bike for a little while, rest, get myself back together, maybe take some Tylenol or whatever I got to do to get myself to where I can ride again. Hope my sister doesn't get mad at me about this example I'm going to give, because it's not anything that she did that she planned on happening, or any of us planned on happening. Like I said, we get to that mentality like we're not that far from home, we can make it. So we had a situation when we went out riding back last June, I believe it was, and it was a stressful couple of months before that. We had lost our mom. Some of us had COVID throughout the year, and it was just a stressful winter and a stressful spring. And we went out for our first ride with a group of people, and she came down, met us down here at the house. Everybody met us here at my house, and we went out for the ride. And It was supposed to be a cool day. It turned out to be more of a warm day. I think a few of us were overdressed for the weather, and everything was going fine. And we're out riding, and we probably were. I wouldn't say we were that far out, to be honest with you. Probably a couple 100 miles, maybe, maybe if you take in consideration everywhere you stop, everywhere you go, it's about a 250-mile day, something like that. But it's over a period of hours. We did stop a few times, get something to drink. We did stop and have lunch, and it was turning out to be a pretty nice day, pretty nice ride. But things can go south pretty quick on us, and I know at the end of the day it was a horrible time, and like I said, I hope my sister doesn't get mad at me for this, but I just want to put it out there for all of us. It's a learning experience for all of us, whether we're older riders, younger riders, new riders, beginners, whatever we are. It is definitely a learning experience, and it really, even though I've been riding 30 years plus, it really opened my eyes to a lot of things too, and it just ended up being at the end of the day, we're heading home. We're done with the ride. We're done with the day, basically, and we're heading home. We had stopped at a stoplight near some railroad tracks, and I always ask my sister, how she's feeling, if she's okay, if everything's all right, and she said she was okay. So I kind of made my right hand turn, and there was of course some bikes in front of me. They made a turn. We made a turn. I think we were toward the end, which would have been me, and then she was the last rider in the group. And we get a couple miles down the road, and I noticed she wasn't there. And I thought, well, she got caught up in traffic, and it's one of them things. We'll pull over and we'll wait. So we happened to pull over to the side of the road near a Lowe's up in Indiana. That's where we were riding at. And we were sitting there, and I'm looking in the mirror, like, it like always happens when we ride, and I'm waiting on her to, catch up so we can take off. Everybody else is slowing down in the group and pulling off to the side of the road. Kept waiting, and she never came, and I'm like, what's going on? And me and my wife were just like, where is she? And a guy from the parking lot that was up on a hill yelled down, "Are you waiting on a Riker?" And I said, "Yes, that's who we're waiting on." He said, "Well, she had an accident down the road." Well, my heart just went down to my knees, and I just was like, oh shit. And I was like, I believe he said that she hit someone head on, and that's what I heard, and I immediately turned the bike around, probably the wrong way. I just kind of turned around in 4 lanes and headed back to her. But you can understand I was very, very upset and very scared to the fact. My thought going back to her that day was that she was not going to be alive. When somebody tells you that somebody hit somebody head on, even if it's 30, 35, 40 mile an hour, that spells disaster. So we get back there, and there is, absolute chaos, of course, and she is laying in the road, and there is a motorcycle in front of her, or she was laying in the road, and there's a motorcycle on this side parked blocking her, and he's down on the ground holding her head. And I've never met this gentleman before, and I never got to speak to him since, but I really appreciated that he stopped. He said he stopped to block traffic so nobody else would hit her, because she was in the road, of course. It was a horrible thing to see my sister lay on the ground screaming in pain. And let me tell you, it was a horrible, horrible feeling. It's bad enough to see someone you don't know screaming in horrible pain, but it really, really, really is bad when it's your family member. And she was just screaming. But let me just say this. it was like music to my ears when I did finally get off the bike and get to her. It was like music to my ears to hear her scream. I know that sounds crazy, but to me, it said she's alive. And that was my main concern rushing back to the accident, was that she is alive. And you talk about traumatic, man. It's a traumatic thing. They're trying to get her situated. I mean, I will say one thing for the EMS and all the police officers and everybody that showed up. They showed up almost, they were there. I mean, I was a few seconds down the road, not far at all. And I mean, bikers, people that pulled over, other bikers that pulled over, people that were in their cars that pulled over that were had medical training. I mean, it was to see that and to see how quick they got there. It was in Aurora, close to Lawrenceburg, Indiana, and to see how they both all got there so fast and how well they were taking care of her was awesome. Just let me say that. I have much respect for all the first responders that come out when somebody has an accident or anything. They did an excellent job. But getting back to her laying there on the ground, all I could say to her was, you know, you're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. Of course, I didn't know how badly she was hurt. I thought maybe she might have broke both of her legs or something like that. Well, it turned out to be something totally worse than that. But anyway, they're trying to get her, move her around so they can figure out what's going on, get her on the board to get her into the ambulance. Then they come tell me that they're going to take her, via ambulance to the hospital. But the pain that she was in was so horrendous. And I mean, you could hear her yell above the crowd, above the sign. I mean, you could hear her scream in pain every time they touched her. So then they came back to me and said, we can't do this. We can't take her by ambulance. She's in too much pain, but we can't give her nothing because we don't know the extent of her injuries. So they had to air care her. So they did air care her. They actually took her put her in the ambulance, took her down the road a little ways to a Big Lots parking lot, and they air cared her to University Hospital Trauma Center in Cincinnati. And I tell you, that was, I mean, it was horrible. When I did get back on the bike, me and the wife and the group I was with was across the street watching. And a few of those people that we rode with that day, I've never met before, but they were awesome. And that's what goes back to one of my videos I did not too long ago. People act like Harley riders are this bad group of people, or, you know, they're not good people, you know, the tattoo thing and all that. Let me tell you something. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Don't judge somebody for what they ride or how they look, because these people were right at the hospital, and I will name them. It was Andy and Abby. They were there. They came down to the hospital, and they sat there with us until at that time it was the COVID deal, so we weren't allowed in, but they stayed there. These people I've never met before. Were there, and they came down to the hospital and sat with us outside until we got word from the doctors what was going on. But let me get back to air carrying her to the hospital. So they air carried her there. We had to get back home as fast as we could. I rode home faster than I probably should, because it could have been another bad situation. But we got back home, got in the truck or the car, can't remember which one it was, and headed straight to the hospital. And the horrible thing about that part of it was not being allowed to go into the hospital, not being allowed to be by her side. It just tore me apart. Like I said, I've been riding a lot of years, and I've had some accidents. The sister I'm talking about had to take me to the hospital one time for having an accident, but it was nothing from what she experienced. And what ended up happening is we get to the hospital, and they're talking to us, and I'm thinking, you know, maybe some broke legs, broke ankle, whatever, thinking something like that. Fortunately, let me stop here and say, fortunately, she had a helmet on. She wore her helmet. She always wore her helmet. She's a very good ride her. When she told me she was going to buy a bike, I was kind of, skeptical about it. Sorry, sis, but that's just how I am, big brother. And I really didn't want her to do it, really. But I can't tell anybody what to do. If you want to do something, do it. If you want to ride a motorcycle, ride one. But when it's your family, you're kind of, I've had family approach me and ask me to help them learn how to ride a motorcycle, and I will not do that. I will not help you ride a motorcycle. I might give you advice here and there, but I will not teach you to ride a motorcycle. The best thing you can do for yourself is go to a course. Go to a good school, a good course, and let them teach you the ins and outs and what you need to know about riding. And that's what she did. And she did do that. And she dotted her T's, dotted her I's, crossed her T's, and she did everything she needed to do. She did her research on what she wanted to buy, and she did it exactly 100% the right way. But anyway, getting back to the hospital, so they won't let us in, and then the news comes. They come out and tell us exactly, after waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and her husband out there, having to call him from the accident and him come to the accident. I know I'm getting a little sidetracked, but it was horrible. Anyway, here we are at the hospital. Again, we're waiting. Doctor finally comes out, and yes, she had way more worse injuries than I even thought that she had. She totally broke herself in half, basically, down in the scrotum area. Her pelvis, she just basically broke herself in half. She shattered it. She shattered it and tore all the ligaments and broke both her wrists. And it was just a horrible situation. And it's something I never want to experience again, something I never want to go through again. And it was, she spent a long time in the hospital. I was there every day that I could be there. She spent a lot of time in rehab in a nursing home, and she's now home. Of course, this is January. This happened back in June. She's walking. She's improved immensely. She's a fighter. I have so much respect for my sister. She's younger than I am, but I have so much respect for her, how she handled everything and how strong she was. And you break your pelvis and you shatter yourself basically in half. It's not a good thing, Of course, I can't speak for her pain, but I know it was tremendous from what I heard from the screaming of the accident, and it was just a horrible, horrible thing. But I'm so proud of her, and if she never gets back on the motorcycle, I don't blame her. I can't say that, so I would say, don't worry about it, get back on the horse. I understand if she never does, and I'll respect that too. Now, on the other hand, if she decides to get back on a motorcycle, I'll respect that too. But right now, that's not, an issue. Right now, she's still doing rehab, and she's still getting better. And like I said, I couldn't be more proud of her, how she approaches everything, and how quickly she's gotten to where she is now. Of course, she still has a lot of issues with sitting too long and things of that nature, but she is very much improving. And I will say one thing for UC Hospital and Cincinnati Trauma Unit, they did a hell of a job putting her back together. I know I took her to the doctor the other day, and they said that her bones are completely healed up, but they had to move so much stuff around inside of her and so much things that it's going to take a good couple of years to get anywhere back to 100% normal, if she ever does. But knowing my sister, she will. But anyway, the reason I'm telling you this story is because I think we all make a lot of mistakes that we don't even realize. If you're feeling fatigued, if you're feeling tired, or feeling faint, or just feeling overheated, exhausted, if you're hungry, if you're thirsty, if you're dehydrated, stop, pull over. I don't care if you're with a group of people. If you're with me, I'm going to stop with you, and I'll stay as long as I have to with you until you start feeling better. But please If you're out riding and you feel faint, you feel tired, you're just not feeling it, you got a little bit of blurry vision because you're tired, the best thing to do is, hey, you're out riding, just stop for an hour. Stop for an hour, drink some fluids, eat, take a rest, take a break, because it's not worth it. And like getting back to my sister, and she, like I said, her skill level of riding was great. She's a great rider. I was so, and I am so impressed on how well she took to riding. I mean, she had it down. She was aware. She never took unnecessary chances, and she was an excellent rider. And that's why I'm trying to make this video to make you guys understand. You could be the best rider, have tons of time in the saddle and time on the road, and still make a mistake. And we all do it. We all make mistakes. I think we all ride tired and when we shouldn't. Or we all maybe not feeling good that day, but yeah, we still want to ride, and we go out and ride not feeling well. When your mind's focused on, you're not feeling well, or your stomach's hurting, or your head's hurting, or this is hurting, that hurting, you're not giving your full attention to the motorcycle and to the road and what's around you. Don't know exactly what happened with her in that accident. I know she wasn't feeling well, but I wasn't there. There wasn't I was up the road at the time. There was no cameras. We went back to see cameras to see if anybody had cameras. There was no cameras at the light where she had her accident, so we don't know exactly 100% what happened. But we know that she did hit the vehicle head on. So, and that's irrelevant. What matters is, what my point I'm trying to get to on this video is, if you're tired and you feel tired and you feel like something's not right, even if you're 5 miles from home or 6 miles from home or 2 miles from home, whatever, pull over and rest, pull over and drink something. If you're overheated, pull over and take off some clothes, do whatever you got to do, but do not push it. It's not worth it. Like I said, I'm guilty of it. I've done it over the years, and I know a lot of you have done it too. And it's just not a good idea. Fatalities on motorcycles are up, and I think that's due to the fact, well, I know it's due to the fact that there's more of us out on the road than there ever has been. And not only do we make mistakes as riders, you got so much to contend with other vehicles not seeing you. We did videos on this before, looking through you, looking past you, pulling out in front of you, coming over on you. And if we're not 100% aware of that, what's going on, because we're feeling tired, we're feeling exhausted, we're dehydrated, and we're not paying attention, that's when things can really go bad. Because us as riders, we have to be really aware of everybody else. Like I said, we could have plenty of seat time, we could be seasoned riders, but we can't control what the other person is going to do. And even if we are seasoned riders, we could be tired, like I said, exhausted, just been out all day, and then it just be that one split thing that we didn't notice or we didn't see because we're not 100% focused on what we're doing. So yeah, I mean, I'm not, I hope, like I said, I hope my sister doesn't get mad at me. I'm just using this as an example. It touched me real deeply because it was my sister. But if I see any accident, motorcycle accident on the road, it always hits me hard, because I do ride a motorcycle, and I definitely do not want to see any harm come to anybody. I don't care who it is. I don't want to see no harm come to anybody. So hopefully, I've learned from it. Hopefully we all can, realize when we're tired, pull over. Sometimes you can be dehydrated on a hot summer day. You're out riding, it's 90 degrees. The sun's beating down on you. Guys know this. You guys know this. I don't have to tell you this. This is just an experience I went through. And, you don't realize that you are dehydrated. You might feel a little, not stable or something that day. Stop, get something to drink. kick back somewhere in the shade, relax a little bit. When you start to feel better, get back on the bike. I mean, it's not worth it. It's not worth pushing it if you don't need to. And like getting back to what I was saying before, there are a lot more fatalities on the road, and that does have due to the fact that not only that has motorcycle riders increased, so has automobiles. I mean, there's more automobiles on the road today than ever, and there's more motorcycles on the road today than ever. But it seems like we get overlooked a lot, even though there's signs out there, every year, watch out for motorcycles. If you're going down the highway, they have it on the digital signs. If you're going across the highway, look out for motorcycles. Even though that's out there, sometimes, it just, people don't really read those, and motorcycles don't register in their mind. If you don't own one, if you're not used to being around them, you're not thinking about them, and you're not looking for them. So we have to be really, really aware of our surroundings and protect ourselves, because, and I'm not saying people are being just overlooking us on purpose. That's not what I'm saying. I just don't think they just see us. There's just times I just don't think they see us. They just look right through us. So we have to be more aware. I seen somebody on YouTube put that, did a video that motorcycle, if you ride a motorcycle, you're a organ donor. Well, there might be some truth to that. There are, every year there are more and more that I hear, more and more fatalities around where I live that people ride, and it's just I mean, I know you're not going to stop that completely, but us being more aware and realizing more about what's going on with ourselves, not only with ourselves but people around us, being aware of the road. I've done videos just recently, where I talk about things on the road, and just be aware. There's times me and the wife are out riding, and we'll be on country roads, and we'll just go around the corner, and there they are, 3 or 4 deer standing right in the middle of the road. So I mean, all it takes is a split second, and you're down. So and I'm not trying to be negative about anything. I'm trying to use this, like this example with my sister, is hopefully we can learn from those things, and not just brush it off. Well, they had an accident, that'll never happen to me because I'm a great rider, and I've been riding for a long time, and I know what I'm doing. I'm a great rider too. I've been riding 30 plus years. I got plenty of seat time. I've had 3 accidents myself. Granted they weren't my fault, but maybe I could have done something different. I don't know. So anything can happen to any of us at any time. Like I was talking on a video before about, you can have a flat tire doing 70 mile an hour down the highway. That could be a catastrophe. So anything can happen to you at any time. So it's just best to be aware of what's going on around you, aware of your motorcycle. Do your pre-checks, check the inflation in your tires, check your tires. Sometimes we think we got great tires and they're not that old, but they can get separated. They can get a nail in them. They can wear a funny way, and we don't realize that they are that way. So just do your pre-trips, make sure everything's safe, check over your bike. And most importantly, make sure you're well enough that day to ride, that you're not feeling good. It's always smart too, and I heard this from an instructor. He really preached on this, is that before you take off for a ride, take some Advil, take some Tylenol, because I don't care who you are, what age you are, you're going to feel it. You're going to be sore. So that Tylenol, that Advil is going to help you in that ride. And if you're riding along, take some Advil. As if you've been out 2 or 3, 4 hours, take some more Advil. I know what affects me a lot when I ride, especially in the spring, is my allergies. And there was one time me and the wife were out riding, and my allergies, we went through this area, and I don't know what was in that area, but my allergies got to me so bad that I just could not see. I mean, my eyes were running, just watering so bad. My nose, it was just watering so bad. I had to stop at a Walgreens and get some a box of tissue and just blow my nose, try to dry my eyes. So we went down the road and we still tried to ride. I said, nope, it's not happening today. So I decided to go home because I just couldn't see. I just couldn't see. They were watering so bad. They were hurting so bad, itching so bad. I said, yep, we can't do this. I wanted to ride that day and I was really upset, but it's better to be safe than sorry. If you have allergies, you guys, I know you guys know all this. This is just me talking, so hopefully it helps somebody out. But if you do have allergies, try to take something that's non-drowsy. I know there's plenty of non-drowsy allergy medicine out there you can take. I know a lot of people I ride with suffer from allergies, and they're always taking something because that's another distraction you don't want to have on the road. Just have your eyes watering, your eyes itching, and you got all that stuff coming down in your face, and that's definitely not good because that's going to take away your awareness of what's going on the road too, because you're thinking about what's happening with your eyes and your allergies. So like I said, you guys know all this stuff. If you've been riding a long time, maybe you haven't, maybe I can give you a little bit of my wisdom, a little bit of my experience, and what I've learned over the years. But getting back to my sister, and sis, I love you. Don't take any offenses to this video. I'm just wanting people to realize that anything can happen in a split second, and want people to realize that we're only as safe out there as we allow ourselves to be. What I mean is making sure, like I said, the bike's pre-tripped, making sure that we have our allergy medicine if we have allergies, making sure we pull over if we're tired, making sure we're not dehydrated. Make sure you drink lots of fluid, especially on hot days. Make sure you pull over and take breaks. And if you're with a group of people and they ask you if you're okay, if you're not okay, tell them. Because I'm telling you, we're not going to leave you. We're going to stay there with you. We're going to rest with you. We're going to do whatever we got to do. If you can't go no further, if you can't ride that bike anymore, we'll take you home. We'll get your bike home one way or another. So I know that's the way most groups are. Like I said, Harley riders are good people. We are good people, and we'll be there for you, and we'll take care of you. So, just some of my experiences, just some of what I've dealt with, and hopefully it helps you guys out. And I want to get back to the pre-tripping too. Make sure your brakes are good, make sure your clutch is good, like I said, make sure your tires are good, make sure you got, your oil's full. And you guys know this. Make sure that your air shocks are working. If you have air shocks, make sure the suspension is set up good, because there's a lot of bad roads out there and a lot of bad things that can happen. But hey, I'm not trying to be a downer about riding. It's just something I wanted to put out there. I love to ride. I will say that situation with my sister almost made me stop riding motorcycles. I know that next day, after seeing all that and going through all that, she said, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to sell the motorcycles and I'm done with it. I don't want to go through that, and I don't want to see that, and I don't want to see that ever again." Because I was thinking at the time that it happened, not just being my mind so focused on my sister, but I was thinking about my wife. What if I go down and my wife's on my bike with me, and she gets killed, and would I be able to live with myself? All these things were going through my mind, and finally my sister-in-law and everybody came to me and said, "Look, it wasn't your fault that she had an accident. An accident can happen to anybody." And I finally pulled myself out of it and realized, I can't stop doing something I love to do because something that happened to somebody else. And like I said, it wasn't her ability to ride a motorcycle that caused the situation. It was just, we make mistakes and poor judgment sometimes, and I will be the first to admit that I have. Like I told you about earlier in that trip that we were out on Labor Day, and I pushed it too far, and I was tired, and I rode home like that. Anything could have happened. It could have happened to me. It can happen to anybody. So let's just be aware of how we feel physically before we get on the bike. It's just as important as how safe your bike is. Like I said, your pre-trips. It's just as important to that on how you feel. So if you're not feeling it 100%, I know we're riders and we love to ride, but if you're not feeling it 100%, probably best not to be on that bike that day. I don't want to see anything bad happen to anybody. I sure don't want to see anything like that happened to my sister happen to anybody, because that could have been life ending. That could have been paralyzation. That could have been the end of her life. And I tell you, if it would have been, it would have been the end of my life. She's always wanted to ride. Like I said, I've been riding 30 plus years. She's about 14 years younger than me, and she's always wanted to ride, and I never pushed her into riding. But when people, like I said, I'll repeat myself, like people, my sons have asked me, nephews have asked me, friends have asked me, will you teach me to ride? And something I will not do. I will not be responsible for somebody else. I will not teach somebody how to ride. I'll give you advice. I'll tell you what I would do in a certain situation or how I would handle something, but I will not get you out in a parking lot somewhere and teach you how to ride. They have courses for that. They have great courses for that. My wife went through it. My sister went through it. My brother went through one, and they're, from what I understand, they're great. I have not personally ever went through a course, like I said, and I started riding mini bikes and dirt bikes, and then I went on to street bikes. So I never did. I gained my experience from being on the road. So, but anyway, yeah, let's be aware of how we're feeling physically. It's just as important as how well the bike is maintained. And it's very important to maintain your bike. You guys know this. It's very important to maintain your bike. Make sure it's safe. Make sure the tires, like I said earlier, make sure your tires are good. The air is proper in your tires. The air is proper in your air shocks. The oil is at its proper level. Everything's working good. The steering's good. Make sure everything's, just make sure everything's there. And just be aware. Just be aware about how you feel physically, because like I said, it's just as important as the maintenance and how the bike is put together and how, your pre-trip and all that. How you feel physically is very important too. I want to touch back on, getting back on, are you an organ donor if you ride a motorcycle? Well, kind of, I guess you are, because people say, well, it's so dangerous that, you have people, there's so many accidents. But, relatively speaking, compared to cars, which you really can't do a comparison because there's way more cars on the road than there's motorcycles. But I think there's like a 10-year thing where there was like, maybe 5,000, a little over 5,000 deaths to motorcycles, and now I think it's up to maybe 5,500 or somewhere up there. So it is rising, and like I said, I do hear more about people dying on motorcycles. But I wonder sometimes, we always blame it on, the car that we hit or the car that hit us, and a lot of times that is the case. But I also wonder, how often, we don't get the full story on these deaths, and was it something we did? Was we not feeling good? Were we tired? Were we coming home from work tired? Were we coming home from a long trip tired? Did we have a headache? Was, our allergies bothering us? Was it something, a mistake, a split-second mistake we made because we weren't all there on riding that motorcycle that day? I don't think it's always the other vehicle. I think, we play a part in that too, on how we feel once we get on that motorcycle. So let's just be aware of that. And I think, like I said, we push ourselves sometimes and we say, well, we can make it, it ain't that far. And I think, don't push yourself. If you're not feeling it, you're feeling bad, pull over, rest, and then get back on the bike when you're feeling better. Anyway, I ain't on here trying to preach to anybody. That's not why I did this video. I did this video because I want everybody to be safe. I don't want us to be an organ donor. I don't want us to have any kind of accidents. I want us to be safe. So you guys, like, subscribe. Again, I wasn't preaching. Like I said, I just want us all, when we're out riding, to come home safe and come home in one piece and come home definitely alive. So anyway, guys, have a great day. Stay safe out there. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much for watching.